Welcome back CSE 3200 Yukon Stores. We're starting chapter 21 in Photo Gallery, where we are going to make our application a little bit more interesting. Instead of just getting the pictures that are stored on a place called Flickr Interestingness, we are going to put in the ability to search for things that we want. So for instance, over here, this search was insects. Here are some of the objectives for the chapter. We will get through the first two approximately in this video, and the first three in the first half of the chapter. I'm anticipating maybe 6 videos for the chapter. So we are going to do our search by implementing the Interceptor interface, which is part of the OKHTTP3 library, part of Retrofit. It does what you would think it does. It's going to intercept a request that you get, allow you to alter that request, and then send the request on. So we are going to take something that looks pretty familiar. For instance, these lines here are somewhat familiar, particularly the parts in green, where we had as part of the URL, the key that we're going to use, the format being JSON, the no JSON callback is 1. Remember that made it so that the method name and the parentheses do not show up on the callback. The extras, URL_s. If you have a small version of the picture, we'd like that. We are going to add in to those 3 things the safe search. Safe search equal to 1 means we're going to try to filter out anything that could possibly be offensive. So these first 4 things we've already had that didn't say add query parameter whenever we ran it, but it, and we'll see that code when we get in there. But from this end, we are going to we're going to take our original request, make a new builder from it, add in the 4 things that we already have in, I think it's in Flickr API, and then we're going to add in our search, and then we will build it. That will be saved as new URL, and then our new request is going to be the that original request new builder, put in the URL, and build it. This line down here, if we don't call proceed, nothing happens, so we can build this, but it just gets stuck. We've intercepted it, we've rebuilt it, and done. So this is what fires it back. All right, so let's see. Once we take care of adding that, and that is that's going to be a new API. I forgot to say that. So we're going to put this this photo interceptor in the API class, and then we are going to go into photo repository, and we are going to add in the retrofit configuration. So these 3 lines are going to be new. So we will add the interceptor and build it, and then this stuff is mostly old. We're then going to add in, after our conversion, we're going to add in the client, so that we are putting this block of code here. And then finally, for this video, we're going to make some changes to Flickr API. This one right here is what used to have the code that looked an awful lot like this. So we are going to take that code out of here, and it's now going to be in our new API. And so most of the rest of this still stays. Then we are going to add the search photos get. So we'll have 2 getters in Flickr API. All right, let's get into that code. All right, I wanted to make sure that my my last version of Photo Gallery was working. This is the version that just finds interesting pictures. It is working, so I'll get rid of it. And then we are going to go right-click the API folder, and we're going to put in a Kotlin class, and we're going to call it Photo Interceptor. Let's go into Flickr API and take a look at what we had for our code before. And I suppose I could put this on the clipboard just because the code that I'm going to put is going to be awfully similar to that. You know what? In fact, I can cut it And I'll even cut this much because when we come back to the get function, no, I'll just copy it. When we come back to the get function, a lot of that's going to go away. All right, so in Interceptor, we are going to make it a subclass of Interceptor. Use the OK HTTP3 version. I'm going to put this stuff that I have on the clipboard down here. Of course, it'll have errors. And we are going to override fun intercept. The default code that we have been given is going to be fine, except for the to-do. We can go ahead and get rid of the to-do. Val original request is equal to a request of type request. Makes sense. We'll need an import for that. And it's equal to chain dot request. Val new URL of type HTTP3 URL is equal to original request dot URL dot new builder. Inside the parentheses, nothing. OK. Then we're going to go dot add query parameter. And then we are going to put API key that is in double quotes, and I didn't capture the double quotes, so maybe the copy paste is not the best idea. I can just use it to look at. But we do need, and haven't put it in yet, our actual API key. We will just copy it from the file that it's currently in, which is in Flickr API. So let's just grab this whole line. Dot, and then we have a bunch more of these add query parameters, and the next one is going to be format, and comma, and in double quotes, JSON, all lowercase, dot, add query parameter, no JSON callback, and then in double quotes, one, dot add query parameter, and then we're going to have let me scroll down, we're going to have extras, comma, and double quotes, URL underscore s, it's the double quotes by one key, and our last one, our safe search. And it will also have a value of 1. After that, dot build. All right. Return chain dot proceed. Putting in new request, which I have not made. OK. We'll go back up and make new request. Val new request is equal to, nope, of type request is equal to original request dot new builder dot URL, passing in our new URL dot build. All right. Now we are going to go into photo repository, and we are going to add our implementation. In between these two lines, we can put our .client OK HTTP3 client, and go to the top of the init block, and we're going to make that client. Val OK HTTP3 client. Let's get rid of that 3. Frozen and unfrozen. OK. OK HTTP3, OK HTTP client is equal to capital OK HTTP client dot builder dot add interceptor. Inside the parentheses, the photo interceptor, capital with parentheses, dot build. And then finally, we're going into Flickr API. Actually, I left the this code down here, which is causing errors. So now go to Flickr API, and this stuff is gone. And then we add one more getter, or one more get annotation. And a lot of this is going to be the same. So let's take it from here. Oh, that needs to be all caps. So in double quotes, services /rest / method is equal to flickr.photos.search. And the double quotes, suspend fun search photos. And then we're going to put in our search query. Auto completed, so the import came along. For the query, we're going to have as parameters the text that is our query. And we will return a string. Now this needs to go outside of the quotes, or outside of the parentheses. So let me cut that. So the query, we were calling it lowercase query, will be of type string, and it will return something of type Flickr response. All right, we have just a couple more things to do before this video is over. We're now going to go into photo repository and make a sister function for the search photos that we just put into Flickr API. It will return a list of gallery items and use Flickr API's search photos. We'll then kick this all off in photo gallery view model by putting changing this line of code here in order to get things going, and then we'll see what it looks like after that. Okay, here we are in photo repository. We have our fetch photos down here, so let's make our search photos function. Suspend fun search photos. In the parentheses, we'll have arguments this time. We're going to have our query of type string. It's going to return a list of gallery items. And we'll set that equal to Flickr API, dot search photos, outside of the parentheses, actually inside, we're going to put our query. Now outside of the parentheses, dot photos, dot gallery items. Go into your view model, find the launch, and this line right here that says val items, photo repository.fetch photos. We're going to change this to search photos. And we are going to pass in a string. Now in the book it says planets. I didn't find that too interesting. But I tried insects, and that's what you saw on my screen. Much more interesting. Let's see what we have. All right, so it didn't work. I found a few errors, in fact. One, I misspelled like the search photos, a search photots. However, since the second time I used it, I used autocomplete. That was not the source of the problem. In Interceptor, I have two misspellings. You can see them underlined. If you have errors that don't show up in your editor, but when you run it, you want to start to look at your literal strings because they're not going to show up as errors here. I spelled the name Jason instead of JSON. Let's see. It's still underlined, so I'll take a look at that. But safe search, I gave an extra A to. All right, so it looks fine. I'm going to hit save all. Try to run it again. And this is what I get. So this was the search planet. And I guess it's saying if you're on this particular planet, it'll give you pictures. So I got pictures of singers. So that's why I decided I would change planet to insects to get something that was a little bit more interesting, like that. All right, so that's it for video 1. In video 2, we're going to use search view to add a way to actually put the query in ourselves instead of hard coding it. So I'll see you in that video next.